What up, folks? Nick McVicker, Josh Palermo here from the supporter section. And Josh, man, it's been a crazy week since we talked last Monday. Because let's see. Oh, yeah, Canada's played 2 more Copa games. Women's national team roster has been announced. It's kind of just like an all-Canadian national team conversation today because that's really what this is about. Like, it's been a crazy week, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I mean, what better day for that to be the topic of conversation than Canada Day? I think
Yeah,
it all
I mean,
fits together.
it fits very, very well, ironically.
Exactly.
So I'm going to give you the starting conch here, okay, sir? So you got 2 topics you can talk about. We can either go Copa America first or women's national team. Where would you like to start?
We'll go Copa first because it's been very much on my mind as of late.
Okay, well, I mean, 2 games down at this point since we last spoke. 1-0 victory over Peru, 0-0 draw versus Chile. Enough to get through to the quarterfinals for the red and white, where they will take on Venezuela later this week. Let's start with the Peru game. I think we can both agree. First half, ugly.
Oh, brutal. Yeah.
Ugly.
There was nothing pretty about it. Pretty classic.
Outside of
South
Crepeau.
American football match.
Crepeau was very, very nice. He looked great.
He's been
in the
our star
first
boy
half.
consistently. We love it.
Outside of that, it was hard to watch, man. I felt like no one was really playing up to their potential. Everyone was kind of struggling to even just control the ball, let alone put more than 2 passes together. At the midfield, Eustachio and Kone couldn't even control the ball under their feet the whole first half, in my opinion. And I don't know what it was. They just couldn't get anything going forward. Was there something that you saw in the first half that kind of like jumped out at you, or am I pretty much on par with what everyone was thinking?
No, I mean, I think it was questionable for me anyhow to bring Richie Larea into the lineup. I wonder if, I mean, Kone in the midfield as well has not been protecting. He's not been playing well at all, and I don't know if that's because the transfer to Marseille, he's got his head in other places. He feels like he has to overperform. But I felt like it was one of those things where they kind of had it in their head that it was going to be a dogfight, and does that throw off any of the tactics that they had planned? Like the technical ability seemed to have gone out the window. And my thought immediately went to, I mean, the Peru coach had made comments that it was going to be a fist fight.
Pretty much was.
Exactly. And I think, that's where they were kind of at. They abandoned tactics, and it was, I think they had an understanding that it was going to be aggressive, and that was in the back of their head, so they couldn't really get on it. And I mean, you have that, of course, Alistair Johnson, Lopez interaction.
Yeah, do you want to get into that? That was I was shocked by that. You can't headbutt a guy. I know it's not like a vicious headbutt like Zinedine Zidane back in the day, but it doesn't matter. It's a headbutt.
I think that's what I screamed at my television. I said in 2006, I mean, when Zidane headbutts Materazzi, that's a red. Now, you're right, it wasn't directly into his chest, but you can't do that.
No, it's literally written in the rules. Like any headbutt is an automatic red card. And the fact that not only did he not get a red card, it wasn't a yellow card, it wasn't a foul called. I mean, I know the ball was out of play, so there's no foul to be called, you know what I mean? But like there was nothing. Nothing. That's
What was the
what kinda
conversation?
threw me off. And I just don't get
They
it.
went to VAR.
I know. And they actually released the video afterwards, and I didn't really understand what was being said. Like no one was willing to call it a headbutt, and that's the technical way that they got around not giving a red card, because as soon as the word headbutt comes into play, it's a red card. Like you can't, if it is a headbutt, it's a red card. Like I don't get how he got away with it. I don't get it.
This isn't complicated. It's 100%. No, it's completely absurd. And I mean, it was a game of some pretty crazy tackles. Like you had the studs up challenge on Schaffelberg that could have broken his leg,
Which ends up being a red card in the second half. Which
and
I
it's
will
like,
say, I want to say this on record. Didn't think it was a red card. Yellow card? Absolutely.
wild.
Absolutely a yellow card. 100% yellow card. Not even a question in my head. I didn't think it was going to be a red card. I'm not shocked that it was a red card, but in my opinion, probably a very hard yellow. But maybe a makeup call. Maybe.
That's where my head immediately goes. Like
Maybe?
I think that I don't know. I mean, I would have given it a red. It was a very, very risky challenge, but part of that can come into the conversation as well. You know, they
Yeah.
definitely big gaff in the first half. God knows why, but
But
maybe
here, can I explain why I didn't think it was straight out red? I didn't
yes.
think the speed at which he was coming in would be deemed reckless and dangerous, right? Do you have to be aware where your studs are at all times? Absolutely. It's like if we want to take it back to hockey, and this is how I've been explaining it to a bunch of people who are only hockey people all week. You have to be in control of your stick at all times on the ice. So if your stick goes up and clips somebody in the face, it's a high stick penalty, right? You have to be aware of that at all times. You have to be aware of your studs at all times. There's no doubt about it. And that's why it's an automatic yellow card to me. I totally agree it's a yellow card. I just didn't think he was going in with enough speed that it was deemed reckless and endangering. But I knew it was on the edge, which is why I totally get why it is a red. But I personally wouldn't have given a red. I would have definitely given the yellow. VAR may have asked me to go take a look at it. And here's the thing. Anytime you slow something down like that, it looks a lot worse than it probably was in full speed. So it probably would have ended up being a red on review, but it's a red. Like you gotta play the game that's dealt to you, just like Canada had to play with a no red against Lopez in the first half. They get the red in the second half, and then the whole game changed. I think the additions of Oso and Schaffelberg in that second half,
Huge.
Oso calmed the entire midfield down beside Eustachio. And that's nothing to say Eustachio and Kone aren't good players. But Oso brings that calm presence in the midfield that they needed in both matches, because he did the same thing in the Chile match. And then Schaffelberg's just looked fantastic down that left wing. Even in the Chile match, which we'll get into, I thought he was very good, even though nothing came of it. But yeah, 59th minute red card in the Peru match. Canada's up for the rest of the game. Up one man. And it took until the 74th minute, so 15 minutes later, for them to get a goal. And then they didn't have a whole lot after that, in my opinion, and it was stressful. Stressful as a fan.
It was not.
I was having heart palpitations, and my fiance was very concerned about me. It was bad. I live and breathe through this. It's very, very dangerous.
I mean, I'm getting double that. You know what I mean? I mean, the Azzurri has been.
Well, yeah, you shouldn't cheer for the Azzurri right now.
No, I think that was the comment that I had made after we had advanced to the quarters. I was like, soccer over Calcio. That's just what it is.
Exactly.
Those are the guys that are playing with some heart. Now, if we just can get the offense started, then we'll be cooking. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, bringing Oso in completely shifted everything. I've been beyond frustrated with Ismail Kone in the center of the park these last two games.
In my opinion, I think in the two lead-up games, he looked fantastic. I think in the Argentina game, he actually looked really good. The Peru game was the first game that I was genuinely concerned about him. But you're saying
interesting.
You're saying the last two games he played, you thought he struggled.
Yeah, I felt that the Argentina match, there wasn't any well-placed passes. I felt like every look that I had at him when he was on the ball, it was not he was not connecting. He was not connecting his passes. That was my takeaway from his performance there. So that's why I say that. And a similar thing in the Peru match. And it's just, I think, a little bit of that lack of composure. It's interesting. It's interesting when you take into account his performance in the friendlies. Mm-hmm. Like those he played quite well. So I mean, yeah, also big difference maker there. I'm glad that we were able to take that opportunity. Schaff's been incredible, and we finally got a goal. We scored. We scored.
What a play too! Like everyone's giving Schaffelberg a ton of credit on that ball through, which totally deserved. David, incredible finish. Can we talk about the first pass? Because we got to go back to the first pass, because that play doesn't happen if Larin doesn't make he doesn't bring the ball down well and make like a second touch leading pass to Schaffelberg. If it's hit any harder, the defender gets it. If it's hit any softer, the defender gets it. He placed it perfectly. Right for Schaffelberg, who did an incredible one-touch pass. I'm not trying to take anything away from the Schaffelberg and David on that, but no one that I've heard has been talking about what Larin did. But Larin's pass was picture perfect, in my opinion. And they just kind of wanted to let it go. And I'm like, no. That's where the whole play starts. And listen, I'm very, very tough on Larin, right? Again, I grew up knowing the guy. I played against him. I'm very tough on him. That was a fantastic pass. And
listen, if
I need more from him up top, but that's a good start.
That's just it. If he's not going to be the one that's putting it in the back of the net, at least he was able to start off with a fantastic pass
Yeah.
to lead up to a goal. So that was huge.
Yeah.
And yeah. The Peru match, just grateful we got away with it.
Yeah.
We got away with
They got away with it.
we held it. And, yeah.
They got away with it.
Is that
They get the win.
do we feel like that was kind of the same MO with the Chile match? Did we get away with one?
Yes. And let's get into the Chile match because that's obviously the next one on the docket. 0-0 draw.
Yeah.
Go up a man in the 27th minute off of two very bad tackles from Suazo, which were both yellow cards in my opinion because the second one a little bit soft, but Richie's behind him, has the ability to cut into the box a little bit more. So it's taking away a potential scoring chance. I get why it's a yellow card. It's soft yellow. It's definitely a foul regardless, but soft yellow, but an understandable yellow at the same time. You can't be doing that. And now Chile ends up as the 10-man down to Canada in the 27th minute. And, okay, I might be a little hot takey here. Canada did nothing with the advantage. And a lot of people are saying, oh, they did cause some chances. Yeah, they did. They definitely did. But I don't think they were doing anything less in the first 27 minutes than they did the rest of the game. But before and after the red card, I think it was exactly the same game.
100%. I mean, they lack the ability to have anything creative moving forward. And I think the thing is, with
Well, actually,
Shaft,
I will argue
it meant
they lack the ability to put anything on target in the final third. Because creatively
That's
going
fair.
forward, they make good passes to get to the final third. It's just that
You're right,
final
you're right.
third where they get lost. And they have no one.
Yeah, once we
Go ahead, sorry.
once we get into the opponent's box.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it. I was just going to say, I feel like Shaft, fantastic speed down the left side, balls in to the box, questionable. A little bit.
I don't know because I'm watching that, right? And every single ball was put just behind the back line, which is where you want those crosses to go. If he's trying to run in and we don't have a ton of guys in the box, you want to put it just behind the back line so one of your guys can run onto it. What I think the biggest issue right now, and I also think Larea was putting some good balls into the box as well. Davies put some good balls in the box. Buchanan put some good balls into the box.
Yeah.
My biggest issue with Canada right now going forward is the fact that nobody is running towards the goal when the ball is played into the box. Nobody on that lineup is running towards the goal. So when you're getting a header, everyone's kind of stationary and trying to force the header in, which is very hard to do.
Okay.
You were trying to create a change in momentum on a crossed ball, right? And you have to make it go 90 degrees from where it's coming from.
Yep.
That is very hard to do. If anyone who has played soccer and you want to get real power on a header, you need to be moving towards that ball. Just moving your head, or even if you can get the whole hips up, rotating. It is still so hard to get good contact on a ball crossed into the box because that ball is wanting to go towards the sideline. And now you're forcing it to literally just stop on you because you're killing all the momentum. Even when the ball's crossed along the ground and you're not trying to head the ball, everyone seems to be taking a step back away from the goal, hoping that it falls at their feet so they can do this great, glorious strike. They need a guy, and Larin used to be so good at it. I haven't seen him do it recently for Canada, but he used to be so good just running directly towards the goal on every cross. Sometimes the ball is going to end up behind you, right? Just because the cross ends up being crossed behind where you were running. But you need to be at least trying to go forward because I think there was a couple chances in both games that if they just had one of the two strikers who were standing in the box running towards the net, probably get onto the end of one of the crosses.
Yeah.
Whether it goes in, that's a different question. But they're running towards the box at least.
Make the effort to have the ball go into the net. Don't
Yeah.
just hope that it's going to land onto you.
Yeah.
So is that what it comes down to then? I'm being a bit unfair to Shaft in that it's our guys that are actually in the box that need to do a better job of getting on the end of those crosses. They're putting into good areas.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that you're necessarily being too hard. I think I'm reading it as a different way because of what I've been taught as a striker growing up. I'm seeing everybody, even on corners. So everybody, not just the two strikers, but everybody isn't running towards the ball. Everyone is waiting for it to drop or waiting for the knockdown from one of the other team's players.
Are we a little scared to commit ourselves?
I don't know if they're scared to commit themselves. I just think that they're hoping for it to knock down so they can have the wonder strike.
Yeah,
because everyone wants the pretty goal. I get it. Everyone wants the pretty goal. But
the MO of the Euros.
Yes, well, that too. Yes, I mean even in Copa, there's been some incredible strikes. But the biggest issue right now is that like they're just not. No one's willing to get the ugly goal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well,
Like, no one's willing to bundle the ball over the line. But it counts the same, as long as that ball crosses the goal line. Just let it go in. Get there and make it go.
Yeah, Adrien Rabiot of France, I think, said that after the game today, which is they're not going to be. If it's ugly, it's okay. You know, like we're winning, and that's the most important thing. And I think for sure. I think the other thing for me is to be able to have midfielders that are doing more to break the defensive line, to come forward.
Yeah, and we saw some good passes out to the wing, but yeah, there's not a whole lot going into the strikers from the midfield. I'll give you that.
I think some more diversity in the attacking options for sure, because when I think back to it, it very much is we're playing the ball on the flanks, and then we're trying to swing it in. And I think that if you can diversify the attack a little bit and you can have more runs that are happening from midfield and they're getting into those pockets of space to just give us a little bit more, because that's just it. What can we do to get the strikers going a little bit more? Positioning is a big part of it too, which we talked about. I think overall there could, like, I don't think that David should be playing as kind of that 10, that like 9.5 role, where he ends up being the striker from the striker pair to drop into the midfield. And I actually don't think that is the best for him. I think that he needs to be that guy who is your target man in the center, because he's the best goal. We can argue this fact, but he's the best goal scorer that this team has. I mean, historically, Kyle Larin. You can't argue with the numbers, but you want to talk about form. I mean, it's Jonathan David. He absolutely not a great first half of the season in Ligue 1, but after that was lighting it
awful, up. To be fair, wasn't just him.
And that's just it. And we have, I'm thinking to the player ratings too. Which do we have to put that much stock into? No, but when I think about the player ratings, I mean everybody within from the keeper to the defense to the midfield, they've all got like 7 out of 10. And then you look at the wingers and you look at our strikers, and they're at like a 6. And that's just it. We have the guys behind us that can get the ball forward to put us into good chances. How do you switch what's happening up top to allow for more offensive opportunities? And my whole argument for that was a bit of a shift in formation. I think there was a comment made during the Canada-Chile match where it was said that what Jesse Marsch is trying to do is emulate what Austria is doing, and they're playing more in that 4-2-3-1 system,
which he's always.
And I think we saw a little bit
played a little bit of it, so it's not like it's a big shock that
exactly.
That's what he wants.
No, 100%. And how do we utilize that a little bit better? And it goes back to what I just said. I think instead of having that cam be Jonathan David, you take out Larin and you move David up top, and then at that point, I think also you can solidify the midfield a little bit more. You have the composure of Jonathan Ozoro. You have him be either that 8 or that 10, and then you bring Kone back in. And I think that it gives you a perfect balance, because when you're defending, there's always a switch in structure. That's just how it is. You're not going to attack the same way in the way that you defend. So if you keep Jonathan Osorio in that 10, I think it allows you opportunity to create more offensive chances. It allows David to be that 9 that you want, and then he works for you. It's true. One
or the other.
I just
like, depending on the time of game, sometimes you make a change and Larin ends up there, right? Either of them could play that.
Exactly. So, and I think that works. I don't know. Like, you start with David, you have Larin coming off the bench. It's still strong.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think, I argue for a more of a 4-2-3-1, which is kind of already there, but just instead of having David be that 10, you move him to the number 9. You let Larin come off the bench, and I think that could work. I think it could very much do more to generate some offense for us. I think you'd bring Buchanan back into the lineup. I don't know how I feel about Richie Larea playing more of a forward role. I don't think he's bad at it.
I don't think he's been awful, to be honest. I was shocked because I know he's mostly a defender. But I will say what we've always known about Richie is he plays a good ball into the box. He's consistent with his crosses. So not the worst decision Jesse Marsch has made. And Buchanan did not look good in the Argentina match at all. So he tried something new, and I think it worked, to be fair. I don't think I would actually change Larea right now, and I think Buchanan coming off the bench after Richie It's a little bit of that like thunder lightning sort of thing where Richie kind of beats the crap out of them for 60 minutes, and then you bring Buchanan on with a lot of speed and just say, "Hey, go run at them. They're tired now. Go run at them," and it works.
I think you're totally right. 100%. 100%. Like, there was a conversation a little bit about was Schaffelberg going to be a guy that's better coming off super sub? And I think that you hit the nail on the head perfectly. Buchanan can be that super sub, and it works perfectly with Larea.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing is that if he's not 100% confident with Kone right now, which, hey, the last match, the Peru match, he didn't look good, right? If Marsh isn't 100% wanting to bring Kone into that new formation that you had with Laren out, the other guy that they could put in the attacking role and leave Oso in the 8, you could always bring Liam Miller in. Because I think he's played well. And that's where I think being in the middle of the park would actually offer a lot for him. Because he is naturally right. He's naturally right-footed, so having him on the left, I know he cuts in all the time, but it's just another element that you could add, right? Or Buchanan, because Buchanan has played there in the past. You could have that be kind of a flexible thing with those two guys. It's a different look, 100%. And I do think if he does go to that 3 midfielder kind of rotation, it will be also at the top with Kone beside Eustachio. But if he's not 100% confident with Kone's headspace right now, which is possible. Like, we don't know. We're not in the huddle or anything. We have no clue. But if that's the case, if Marsh isn't 100% confident with it, well, there's another option too. Like, you don't have to go with that. And I think that could add just a little bit of a wrinkle to what comes up. And I mean, they have a tough test in the quarterfinals, but ironically, they're the higher ranked team. Right? Like, we talk about this. Canada was the lowest ranked team in every single one of their group stage matches. Well, now they're coming up against Venezuela, where Canada's ranked 48. Venezuela's 54. They're ranked 6 spots higher. But if we go off the ELO rankings, right, which is more, I would say ELO's slightly more accurate. They're all a little biased, this, that, or the other, but it's slightly more accurate to current form. Venezuela's ranked 21st, and Canada's ranked 32nd. So it's going to be a test. This is not going to be an easy match. They just beat Jamaica 3-0 in their final group stage game, right? And they won all 3 of their group matches against Ecuador, Mexico, and Jamaica. This is not an easy game. But this is also a game that Canada could get a result from, in my opinion. This isn't like we're playing the Argentina or the Brazil or even the Uruguay, in my opinion. I think those 3 teams are far and away the best 3 teams in the tournament.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
This is a game that Canada could come away with a result from. They could win this game. And if that's the case, Canada getting to the semifinals, I mean, getting to the quarterfinals in and of itself is a victory right now. And I know everyone is, I'm in all the fan chats and stuff like that, and I see what people are saying, like, oh, we should be grateful and all that. Yeah, we should definitely be grateful, but at the same time, like, don't you want more? Like, let's be honest, they didn't.
I'm not grateful for anything.
They didn't play great against Peru and Chile. They didn't play awful. They got the results that they needed, and sometimes good teams find ways to get results when they aren't playing great. But have they looked fantastic in this tournament? I don't think anyone can say that. Even the Argentina game, they looked good. I wouldn't say they looked great. I wouldn't say they looked fantastic. Can we agree on that?
No, the biggest problem is we don't have anything. We can't score. We can't score, and it's weird to sit here and say, "Woohoo, 0-0." You know, nil draw. We basically barely made it out of the group, but we did it. Yeah, that's it. So 100%, we need to figure it out. We've been solid at the back. Great, kudos to the guys. Let's pick it up. Like this, you're entering the quarterfinals. That's not going to be easy, and I'm not happy to just be here. We talked about that last week with the no more moral victories. Yeah. The guys have to show more. You know, I like the grit. I like how well they've played at the back. They've been tight. You know, but yes, they leave a lot begging. Like I really want to see more moving forward. And if they want to do anything against Venezuela, who's going to come at them? They're going to come at them hard. I mean, every team has. But that's 100%. What do you think is an acceptable tournament for us? Like how far do we go where we can say, yeah, you know what? I'm happy with that.
If they show up and lose to Venezuela, right? And I'm saying show up like they did in the Argentina game because they showed up for that game.
Yeah.
We can agree on that. They played good. They didn't play incredible. They didn't deserve to win that game in any stretch, but they played good. If they show up and play well and end up losing 1-0, making it to the quarterfinals for me is a success. If they don't show up, it's going to be a disappointment. If they get through, it's a success. I think getting to the semifinals is a guaranteed, hey, we did something here, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, we kind of lucked into the quarterfinals. I hate to say it, but 2 games where we went up a man and had 1 goal in that time frame. 1. We have 1 goal in the entire group stage. Only the second team in Copa America history to get through the group stage with 1 goal scored in their group stage matches. And the other one was Mexico in 2001, which is not a good sign because they got killed in their next game, I'm pretty sure. The game against Argentina, we saw what Canada has the ability to do when they are creative going forward because we got a lot of chances in that match. But they couldn't finish anything. And that's really what it comes down to. You have 1 goal in 3 games. On the flip side, and let's go to the positive now because we've been kind of ripping on them for a little bit here. Let's go to the positive a little bit here. The defense looked great. Derek Cornelius has been fantastic. I know he got pulled off in the Peru match because I think he picked up a yellow card and they were just trying to be cautious, which I respect. They brought 100%. Kamal Miller in. Kamal Miller looked good too, surprisingly. I know he has.
When that's the guy that you have to bring off the bench.
He struggled a little bit though in the league this year. So like bringing him in, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, ooh.
I don't know what's going on in Portland because Crépeau hasn't looked good for his club side either.
Well, Crépeau's also battling for the number 1 gig, so it's like it's a little bit tougher for him. Whereas Kamal's starting every match, was starting every match, but I don't think he is anymore. Anyways, like Derek Cornelius has looked great in 2 of the 3 games. Bombito's looked great in 2 of the 3 games because I don't think he had like the best game against Argentina, but the Peru and the last game against Chile, I thought he looked really good. Johnston has been fantastic, like he always is when he puts on the red and white. And Davies on the left side, for everyone saying that he needs to be moved forward, I think he looks really good in that wingback position for Canada because especially with Schaffelberg on the left side or even Miller, he's allowed to make those runs still, but he still tracks back, and he's one of the first guys back, and he's one of the fastest guys on the field in every field. Doesn't matter who we're playing against. Having that speed at the back is really, really helpful. I think we can all agree on that. Defensively, we look great. Crépeau has been fantastic. Literally leading the tournament in saves, I'm pretty sure. He's looked so good. And for the results we're getting, you'd think the defense is struggling. Or you think everyone is struggling. Right? Yeah. Because we've 1 goal. 1 goal. But we've only given up 2 in 3 games.
Yeah. And those are both Argentina who just passed the ball right through us and played some brilliant football.
No.
So
they didn't pass the ball right through us. Messi picked 2 beautiful, incredible passes and passed right through us. That doesn't really count because that's not really fair.
Messi passed it.
Messi doesn't count. Like, I'm sorry. Can we agree that Messi is one of the top 2 players in the world at any given time and can pick apart any team in the world that he wants?
No, 100%. And we said that, we were able to outpace Argentina, but it's just Messi. He's Messi. Messi's Messi.
Messi's Messi. So outside of 2 incredible passes from Messi, we could have no goals against. We could also have 5 goals against in that first game if Crépeau doesn't stand on his head, but we could only have 2. We could only have the 2 that we have. And that's where we're at right now.
No. When you have a defense that is able to show up and consistently lock down other teams and prevent the ball from going to the back of our net, it gives you a chance to win every single game.
Yes.
And that's been the thing. That's been the thing for us. It's been beautiful. I mean, I love defensive football. I love guys that are going to go in there, they're going to put their bodies on the line, they're going to win every challenge that they can in their own box. They're winning those duels. And that's what we've been doing. And I love great goaltending. I love that side of football. Everybody, it's nice to see the goals, and that's what we need. That's what we need.
We definitely need some of those goals. I would like to point that out.
That's what we need. Exactly. So, there are aspects to it that have been great to watch, I think, for myself. And yeah, definitely we can hang our hat on that. That the defense has been fantastic. So the guys just need to figure it out up top.
Yep.
Once they do that.
And now we go up against Venezuela, who I've already mentioned won all 3 games in the group stage. They beat Ecuador 2-1. They beat Mexico 1-0. And they beat Jamaica 3-0. They've scored 6 goals in 3 games. have only given up one. So it's kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how this game goes. Canada can win this match. It's not out of the question. I was talking with Matt Cullen, who's calling the games for TSN 1050. He said the same thing. Like this is a game that could see Canada go through to the semifinals, but they're going to need to play better in the attacking third if they want to, and the defense needs to keep standing tall. Because if not, we're screwed. And this is going to.
So what is your predicted result for this match?
Is it bad that I think it's going to go to extra time?
No. I mean, that's where my head goes. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Like, I think it might end up being a 0-0 or a 1-1 going into extra time. And then at that point, I guess I'm calling 2-1.
Yeah.
And I could see it going either way. I really could. Like, this screams a one-goal game either way. I want to stay positive and say it's going to be Canada, but the way both teams are finishing right now, I'm probably saying Venezuela is the one who's more likely to score 2 goals.
Yeah. I don't know what this team looks like going to Pens. In my head, like that's where this is going to end up going.
Oh, you think it goes all the way to Pens? Okay.
I could see a world in which Jefferson Soteldo nets one for Venezuela. Canada
TFC's talisman.
I loved him at TFC. You know, he was.
I know he did not fit that squad though at all.
No, but he was fun to watch for a time.
Yes.
And then Canada battling back, David scoring, tying it 1-1. This thing going all the way 2 Pens, and then just the question for me is, I don't know what this side looks like. I don't know what our spot kicks. You know,
no clue.
Who would those 5 guys be? I'm not sure.
I have a pretty good guess of who the 5 would be.
Yeah,
I have a pretty good guess. You're gonna get Davies.
So
okay, you're gonna get Davies.
Yeah.
You're gonna get David. You're gonna get Eustachio, guaranteed. Those 3 are pretty much locked in. If Laren's on the pitch, he takes one. And then it kind of depends on who's on the pitch. Because I would say probably next in line would be Buchanan. And after that, then it becomes more of a question mark. Because if Buchanan's not on the pitch, that means Richie's on the pitch. And Lord knows I don't want Richie taking a kick. Sorry, I just don't think he has the head. I don't think he has the head to do it. Would you put Liam Miller or Schaffelberg as the next guy? Would Kone would probably be in the mix for that 5th one as well. Johnston, I could see being good at kicks just because he's pretty level-headed for the most part. So like,
I feel like he would nail it down the center.
Okay. I could even see Crépeau being okay at kicks.
That's what I want to see that.
All right, like I could see it, but I think that the top 3 are pretty locked in. 4, I'm pretty confident with 4 being Laren if he's on the pitch, and then after that, yeah, it's a good question of who's taking the 5th one. Maybe not in order.
It's question
marks. Probably.
Yeah.
David's probably taking the 5th one if it gets to that sort of thing or whatever. But
also, are you a guy that says you have to put your best kicker last, or is your best kicker going first?
I really don't give a shit. Pardon my language. I don't care. Here's my thing. If your best kicker says he wants to go 5th, then he goes 5th. If your best kicker wants the ball first, let him go first. My team.
I think you got to get to him first.
I grew up. We played in 6 shootouts across 4 seasons, right? Or 7, 6 or 7 shootouts across 4 seasons. We had the same 5 guys take all of our kicks because we never got to 6 or 7 takers, right?
Yeah.
And I took the first kick. And I was definitely not the best kick taker on our team, but I'm like, I don't care. So our best kick taker ended up going 5th because he wanted the last shot. And I'm like, hey, more power to you. I don't care. Put me first. And my thought process was, if I miss, I know you guys are picking me up. And I know our keeper's making a save. Because we went through 6 or 7 shootouts, our keeper made at least one save in every single one. So I knew no matter what, if I missed, we would be fine. I didn't miss in the shootout, ever. But I knew that's what I went in with my mind, being the first kick taker. I'm like, there is no pressure on me at this point. Because whatever happens, I know my team's got me behind. So we're good. I'll go take my kick, right? We only missed 1 kick as a team, and the entire time we took shootout, and it got to be retaken. Fun fact. Because the
There
keeper
you go.
jumped. So we didn't miss a single kick across 4 seasons, technically. Right? And that's just how our team was. We didn't worry about it as much as some teams do. And we also had some really, really good kick takers. And I will admit to that. Like, that does help. We were really, really good at what we did. So when it comes down to it, if you have guys who are confident in taking the kicks, it really doesn't matter what order they're in, as long as they're confident going up. If you have people who are questioning it, that's when it becomes a problem. And that's when you have to isolate those guys in the middle of the kick-taking line, as opposed to the first or the last guy.
Fair enough.
Because
I think your best guy has to go first.
You think the best guy has to go for why?
Has to. That's who I watch because it sets the tone. It sets the tone. If you're going to go up there, you're going to put it in the back of the net, and you're immediately either if you are the one to shoot first, you put yourself up and you have that advantage.
Okay.
And if not, if your keeper hasn't saved that first shot, then you've at least guaranteed that you're level after the first 2 shooters for both teams. Right. I think it sets the tone for the rest of the shootout. I just watching Portugal Slovenia, when they couldn't put in that first goal, I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
And then they went and the next 3 was saved and Portugal hit their next 3. So I think that it is essential that I want to see David going first. I want to see him putting it home. I trust Crepeau to continue to stand on his head. And if David scores first, if Crepeau continues to be the guy that he is and can save those PKs, I think I have us taking the shootout.
Okay.
That being said, I'm not overly confident. I think that
I'm the same way, man. I can't lean either way either. So I get you.
I think if we win this game, we have to go up early and we have to just lock it down for the rest of the match.
It's funny. I almost feel the opposite. I feel like we need to score late. I think we need to just lock it down early because that's what we're good at right now. We've shown that we're good at that. I think if we score and have to defend a lead, it's almost more dangerous for us. Whereas if we need to still try to score, at least we're trying to push out and open up the field a little bit more. If we're just trying to defend and we're just launching the ball out, that's just asking for pressure. And when you get pressed long enough, unfortunately, usually a bad mistake happens, or not even a bad mistake. Could be a small mistake. But something happens and your ball's in the back of your net and you're picking it out and trying to go score another one. So I actually honestly think if they're going to only score one, if they're going to win 1-0, I'd rather the goal come in the 75th minute like it did in Peru. Against Peru.
I don't think my heart can handle that, but yes. I mean, if
I don't
that's
think
the case.
My heart won't be able to handle it. That's why I'll be playing hockey on Friday night. I will not be able to watch.
You're not going to watch?
I would, but I actually do have a hockey game Friday night, so it's not like it's a big deal. But I will be so stressed. My phone will be on the bench, and I will be constantly checking scores while I'm at the hockey game. But I will be at hockey, yes.
I'm dropping everything. I'm dropping everything to watch that game. No.
I paid to play hockey. I'm playing hockey.
All right. And if it's gonna save you from cardiac arrest, then
that's
let it be
what
what
we're looking for right now. I might even have an early game too. I'm kind of concerned about that. I haven't checked the time yet, so I might be able to finish hockey and then go watch the game, which would be way worse.
Yeah.
But
no, then you're just asking for it.
Yeah, then I'm just that's just asking for way too many problems. But yeah, like this team has the ability to pull out the next win. Will they? It's a good question, and we'll be there watching and be very excited to watch. I'm interested to see how it plays out because they have the horses to do it. Whether or not they will be able to is a different conversation. From the men's team over to the women's team now, Josh, and they announced today their roster for the upcoming Paris Olympics. I'm going to read out all of the names, and then we'll get into it, break down who we kind of were surprised wasn't on there, who maybe we were surprised that was on there. We'll get into it. But the goalkeepers, Sabrina D'Angelo and Kaylin Sheridan. Defenders, Kadisha Buchanan, Sydney Collins, Vanessa Giles, Ashley Lawrence, Jade Riviere, and Jade Rose. Midfielders, Simi Oujo, Jessie Fleming, Julia Grosso, and Quinn. And the forwards, Janine Becky, Jordan Heidema, Chloe Lacasse, Adriana Leon, Nichelle Prince, and Evelyn Vian. Okay, first, I should also say 4 alternates were named as well. Gabrielle Carl, Lysiane Prue, Deanne Rose, and Shalina Zadorsky. Those are the 4 alternates.
Interesting.
Because there's only an 18-player roster for the Olympics, which is ridiculous, by the way. I think it's the most absurd thing I've ever heard because injuries happen, unfortunately. So they do have 4 alternates. I'm going to throw it out to you here, Josh. Any name on there that surprised you before we get to the ones that surprised us being off? Is there any name on there that surprised you? Because I have 2, but I'll let you start.
I want to say Sydney Collins for me, for sure. And then really, that might be it. I mean, I don't know. I wanted to see Livy Smith. I can understand why she's not on the team. But yeah, really just Sydney Collins had me by surprise. And I'm sorry, I'm checking back between what I had my predictions out to be initially. Yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, and that is one of the 2 players that I had as a bit of a shock. And the only reason that it actually comes down to me being a little bit shocked that she made the roster is because she's not even playing for her own team right now. She just hasn't played a whole lot. Like in 2023, she only played in 4 matches.
She wasn't a part of the send-off series. Like I went to that game in Toronto. Yeah.
So that's the other thing.
There you go.
And that also leads into the other name that I have on my list that is I'm a little shocked made it, and that's Nichelle Prince because she's been hurt.
Yeah.
And has not been playing for her own side right now. And when it comes down to an 18-player roster, can you really bring players who are not necessarily fit? And I know Bev Priestman had a whole comment about Collins looking really good in training, which is great. Like, I'm not necessarily saying that I don't think if she was playing, she deserved a roster spot because I think she's very talented. But I don't think it makes sense to bring a player who's not 100% fit or hasn't played any matches recently for an 18-player roster. If this was a 23,
I have nothing but trust issues.
If this is a 23-player roster, different story.
Yeah.
Different story. Because then you have the 4 that we named as alternates already with the squad. But 18 players is not a whole lot of wiggle room. So now you have 2 on the bench that haven't played, that are coming off of injury, and you don't know if they can even touch the field. So now you're down to 16 immediately. That's scary to me. Like, as much as I think Nichelle Prince is a Canadian national team player, and she definitely is, she is coming off of injury. I would have much rather seen a Livy Smith in there.
Yeah. I mean, are you like she offers so much. She's very young, but
if Prince is healthy and playing for her side, I have no problem with leaving Livy Smith off.
But no, we're arguing
Prince
this in
off.
context.
Yeah,
exactly.
if we're talking in context, I'd much rather a healthy Livy Smith than a questionably healthy Nichelle Prince.
No, and I think this would have been a breakout tournament for her. I mean, she's already been playing phenomenal, and I think that it would have given her the stage, and she would have shown up to the occasion and would have absolutely killed it. And that's just it. You leave yourself open to risk. I mean, thinking about Nicolo Fagioli's inclusion in the Azzurri squad, he was a guy who faced a betting ban, was out for 7 months, could not fathom why he was in that squad, and it came back to bite us in the game against Switzerland. So I have major trust issues when you decide to bring in 2 players who have been battling injuries, who have not been playing consistently heading into this tournament. Yeah. It's a huge risk. Absolutely huge risk. Like, who's our number 9? Who is the number 9?
Probably Heidema or Lacasse are probably the 2 that I would have up there.
Lacasse is class, but
Lacasse is class. But I think you can also play Lacasse on the wing, and she's just.
I'd like to see Lacasse on the wing.
It's going to be Janine Becky or Jordan Heidema to start up top.
I got to see if I can pull up what I had initially.
I wouldn't necessarily, and 11. I mean, you have Adriana Leon who can also go up top there as well, and she could be the number 9. Yeah. But there is a lot of flexibility in the, I think, 6 forwards that they brought in. 5 outside of Prince because we're saying that outside of her. They do have some flexibility, and they can all kind of play across that front 3 because we know that Canada plays with a front 3.
Yeah,
it's 2 wingers, but it's a front 3. They have the flexibility there, but I would have liked to have one other player that you could just pull off the bench with like a ton of speed and not have to worry about a potential injury or worry about her being 100% healthy. And unfortunately for Nichelle Prince, that's not her right now. So I probably
Yeah.
if I was making the decision, again, I'm not making decisions, unfortunately. If I was making the decision, I probably would have left her off the roster and brought in a Livy Smith. Or, I mean, there's other players too, not necessarily just Livy Smith, but Livy Smith has played so well that I'm happy bringing her into that lineup. The Collins one really gets me.
Yeah.
And what really bothers
I
me
don't know
is
why
how
Shalina
good
Zadorski's
Gabrielle
not
Carl,
gotten that spot.
or even Gabrielle Carl. Gabrielle Carl
Yeah.
has played fantastic recently. And
No,
in
she
my
was in my desired 11.
yeah, in my opinion, deserves to be there. And I know they're both named as alternates, so they're going to the Olympics. They're just not allowed on the bench.
Why leave it up to risk? Like, why,
I just don't.
Why have to be the alternate?
And again, I want to preface this by saying I do think Sydney Collins is a very good player and will be a part of this Canadian national team roster moving forward.
Yeah.
But the key word there is moving forward. You have to be playing games and you have to be playing well to be on this roster. And unfortunately, she just isn't playing games. Like, you have to be in the lineup to play, and you're not playing. That's a problem. Like, if you're not there, if you're not on the field, how are you supposed to showcase your talent and prove that you deserve to be there? Now, do you think she's going to start any of the games in the Olympics here, Josh?
No.
No.
But I don't care what training has to say. I want to see you play.
Well, no, training is important. Don't get me wrong. Like, if a player,
Yes.
no, but
yeah.
if let's say a player comes in playing well for a team, but just isn't training well, maybe something's up, right? Maybe the mental game's getting to them. I wouldn't want to bring that player on an 18-player roster either, right? So yeah, training
enough.
does matter, but it's part of the equation, not the only equation. It's part of the equation.
Yeah.
And
No.
I don't get it. I don't get it. It's
No,
frustrating.
the biggest thing that makes me nervous, and I guess that like justifies Nichelle Prince's inclusion in the squad. I do not feel comfortable about any of the options that we previously listed at the number 9 spot. I think that has been a big issue for us throughout the Gold Cup that had happened. I was not pleased with. I'm trying to remember who her opponent was in the very first match. Jeez, but there was moments throughout the tournament where I felt we had lacked the ability to connect, and I was not impressed with Heideman's play. And that's why I think our biggest weak spot is that number 9 position, because I don't think we have a true number 9 who's going to be consistent for us, which would make sense why Nichelle Prince, I guess, is in the squad for that sense, because she has shown that she can do it in the past. I don't know. I think like every other position throughout this 11, throughout the 18, like very solid keepers. The defenders are great. The midfielders, I think, are phenomenal. And on the wings is great as well. I think that we are going to have trouble scoring goals if we keep trying to throw the ball into the box and we don't have that person on the other end of it to connect. So I'm concerned. I'm not feeling super confident heading into this gold medal defense.
Oh yeah, gold medal. Yeah, forgot what tournament it was for a half second there.
There's been so many.
Oh my god, they play a lot now, which is great. I love it, but
No, it's true.
they just play a lot.
No, it's a stacked calendar, which has been a huge issue in football in general.
Yeah, you're right. The question marks of the number 9 are there. I do think Becky ends up taking control of that spot, to be honest.
Okay.
Just everything I've seen from her strikes me as that next number 9, but there's still question marks there. And we've seen Adriana Leon play up there. We've seen Heidema play up there. We've seen Becky play up there. Since Sinclair became a secondary piece on this national team, it's been a question mark.
Yeah, I wish Vienne could just bring it when she's starting, because I've seen her do it in Serie A Femminile. But that's just the issue. She does it in Serie A Femminile. I've been beyond impressed and excited to see how well she's done, and it just
and she does do it
when she starts.
When she comes off the bench.
When she comes off the bench, and I'd like to see her be able to do it while starting, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. So we kind of mentioned names that you were shocked that weren't on there, being Livy Smith. Is there anyone else that you were kind of surprised didn't make the cut, either as a rostered player or an alternate?
I was just Gabby Carl. I had Gabby Carl
Well, she made it at least as
and
an
Shalina
alternate.
Zadorsky. There
They
you
both
go.
made
So
it
that's
as
just it. Like
alternates.
two players who I felt should have been included in the 18 aside from just alternates. And so they're going to be going to Paris, so not you can't overly complain there. But that was it for me. Those were the shocks.
Yeah, that's fair. Like I'm on the same page. Is that I don't think I was
Yeah.
shocked by those two. Like thankfully they made the alternates. I was shocked that one of them wasn't at least in the 18 over Collins, but grand scheme of things, not the biggest shock because they are still going to Paris. It'll be an interesting tournament. I mean, the Americans look really good, and that's
Alex Morgan.
no Alex Moore. I know. Let's put it this way: their all-time leading goal scorer isn't showing up, and I'm still saying they're looking good. That's a scary thought.
Yeah.
That's terrifying to me. If I'm any other team right now, that's terrifying.
You bring in Emma Hayes. They've got a wonderful crop of young talent. They're a scary.
They have one of
They're a very
the
scary team in this
best
tournament.
women's coaches of all time.
Oh yeah,
And I have no problem saying that,
that's what it is.
which is terrifying if you're any other squad right now because you are going up against a juggernaut.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No. Does Canada get a medal?
Ooh. Good question. I'm gonna go with no.
Interesting.
Gonna go with no. I think they lose in the quarterfinals. Which I don't like saying.
Fair.
But I don't see a whole lot of goals coming from this side right now. It's the same thing that
No,
we're
that's
having
the
a problem
biggest
with the
issue.
men's side, right? Defensively, they're very, very good. They're not going to give up a whole lot. But when it comes to these short tournaments, you need to score goals. And if we can't get consistent goal scoring from anybody.
And I mean, they haven't really shown that they can do it from the spot either, because in that Gold Cup against the United States, one of the most painful shootouts I've ever watched as a soccer fan.
That was bad. But both sides were not
brutal.
great in that. The Americans just came out on top.
That's totally fair. But yeah, I mean, when that's what we're looking at, I'm not feeling overly confident. I'm hoping for a bronze medal.
Yeah.
I think the optimist, which is not I'm not a very optimistic soccer
I've
fan,
realized that.
very cynical,
I've realized
very
that.
cynical. But I'm hoping for bronze, and I think it's possible. We just Adriana Leon needs to be Adriana Leon. She's the juggernaut for us offensively, and everybody else needs to do their job. We have a great midfield. I hope that Julia Grosso can start games again. That's been
nice.
The thing that's been frustrating for me. Watching her at CDI again, winning MVP, great as a fantastic midfielder. You know what I mean? One of the best midfielders in that league. I've been upset that she has not been favored under Bev recently.
Well, I mean, the last group she was kind of picked up a knock before going to the camp, right? So that's why they were kind of giving her. She's starting for Canada. Hey, I'm sorry. She's starting for Canada. It doesn't matter.
You think she will?
Yeah, it's not even a question.
I feel like I don't know. I could see Simia Wujo getting the start over her, or I guess not Quinn. Quinn's healthy, so I don't know. I think that pivot's going to be Quinn and Fleming.
Grosso. No, I think it's I think it's Quinn, Grosso, and Fleming in the midfield.
But do they? Well, usually it's a 3-4-3 or like so they've been playing the double pivot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, but I think all three of them somehow sneak into the
All right. Well, later on, we'll give our predictions. We'll give our predictions for those lineups.
Yes, that'll be interesting. But I mean, we got to get to Paris
as we
first,
get closer.
so we got time.
Exactly.
We had a men's quarterfinal first to deal with, and that comes up on Friday. And you'll see our predictions for the lineup then, which probably I'll throw it out there right now. Mine's probably looking exactly the same as the last game, but we'll see. Something might come up this week that makes me change my mind, but I believe we're gonna stick with what we know and go with the same lineup. So it'll be interesting. Josh, anything you want to add before we head out, my friend?
No. Heartbreaking from the Canadian teams in the MLS side with Toronto FC. Brian White was fantastic for Vancouver. And yeah.
TFC look really bad right now. We'll get into that a little bit more hopefully next week, as well as talking about the Copa quarterfinals and hopefully semifinals. Ding. CPL, obviously, some big action as well. We'll get into that next week, so make sure you tune in then. I got nothing else to add here, dude. You ready to head out then?
Yeah.
Let's head out on this
Good to
one.
wrap.
So, that'll do it for us. Make sure you follow us on social media. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube, obviously. Hit the subscribe button on the Garage Door Sports Network on YouTube.
Yes.
It's FTSS Podcast on Instagram, so you can find us there as well.
Yes, all of our socials, yeah. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok.
There you go.
All that
Josh
social media
is
content.
all on top of it. You can follow us on all of those and get up to date. We're trying to do some graphics and stuff for transfers as well as just big news coming out. So make sure you follow us. We'll do our best to keep you up to date. Until next week, he's Josh Palamo. I'm Nick Vic Vicker. Thank you for listening. We'll see you then.
Cheers.